If you're enjoying Gems with Shom, follow the show. We're just getting started. Welcome to Gems with Shom, a show about beat digging, records, and other things. Today, I'm joined by legendary DJ and producer, Mr. Thing. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
We met briefly at a record fair in Toronto, Cratery Con.
Yep.
It was dope meeting you. When we were talking, you were deep running through crates. You're in deep concentration, as they say. So I'm glad we can connect now and talk. I saw the intensity in your eye, so I knew we'd have a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm notorious for once I get into boxes of records, I can't really I kind of struggle to talk. I kind of need my concentration at maximum really. So yeah, I'm quite notorious for it. It's not that I'm rude. I just kind of get in that zone and I'm kind of like, oh yeah, hi, and then I kind of disappear again.
I've been there, brother. For our listeners, you are based at the United Kingdom, and it's important for me to connect with people from around the world. I went to school in the UK as a kid. I have an affinity for the UK as a kind of a hip hop scene, as a music scene as a whole. So I'm glad we could have you on and broaden our perspective a little bit.
Nice. Whereabouts did you go to school?
In London.
Oh, in London. Okay, cool. I'm
Yeah.
about an hour and a half outside of London here. So
Kent,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I lived in Islington and Borough Market and then Camden Market for about 3 months as well.
Nice. Yeah. Islington's still good as well. You can still get records in Islington. So
Yeah. I liked the hit about records at that time, so we'll talk about that too. What was your early exposure to music growing up in the UK?
I mean, home wise, what my mum was listening to, my mum and dad were listening to. My mum was into Motown and a lot of soul music, like, so Stevie, Marvin, Al Green. That's what she was really into. But her and my dad also listened to reggae. They went to reggae nights and things like that. So they had that. But then my dad, massive fan of Pink Floyd, Dire Straits, like rock. And also he likes two-tone, like the Specials, Madness, things like that. So they listen to a lot of that. So, but most of the time, if I was out and about with my mum, we would have, Stevie, Marvin, or whatever on in the car. She didn't want him to have Pink Floyd in the car. She doesn't like it. She thought it was too weird. But in regards to hip hop, my exposure to hip hop was kind of through school, swapping tapes with people at school. Once we started hearing stuff, I missed, I'm always quite honest about it, that I missed the whole Buffalo Girls thing, and seeing the video and then having all of that exposure to it. I didn't know anything about it. I vaguely remember seeing a video for Rapture on the TV on Top of the Pops, and just finding it bizarre. I'd never heard anything like that before. So, it was kind of a bit fractured. And also because I wasn't living in London, not being from London, there wasn't so much of it around. So we had to really look for it. Or luckily at school, people swapping tapes, like Street Sounds Electro was a big thing over here. And that was probably most people's introduction to hip hop culture over here was Street Sounds, really.
Okay. When did you start DJing?
I started DJing when I was maybe about 12 or 13, just messing around with whatever deck I could get my hand on. So basically, I mean, I kind of did the, a bit later on, I did the whole kind of pause tapes thing as well when I started finding stuff to, not sample yet, but breaks and stuff. But we would like have like a stack hi-fi system. We would jam the phono button in so it stayed on all the time, and then use the auxiliary as like a crude transformer switch. So, but we just broke so many hi-fis, so many wrecked so many records, not knowing about slip mats. Eventually we got someone said, oh, you should put some wax paper under that. And so yeah, it was me and some friends from school kind of were messing around doing it. And then they got decks at home, but they only had very basic, you called it Radio Shack over in the States and whatnot, but over here it was called Tandy, which is bizarre. So yeah, so we had like belt drive turntables from there, which were horrible. You could barely DJ on them, but that was what we learned on. And then luckily our local youth club got a set of 1210s. And so every Tuesday, you couldn't stop me being at the youth club so I could practice on some proper turntables. And they had a classic mixer as well, which was a Phonic MRT 60. You heard of that? You know about that?
Not. I'm
It's
not.
like a four channel. It's like a big mixer. It's like this kind of big. Not the most easy thing to use, but it was really good. It had really good transformer switches on it, so I got really good at that. So that was me, getting to use proper equipment. That was probably about 86, 87, I would say.
Okay. All right. I'd like to hear how people started, what the early exposure is. Yours is certainly distinct. Coming
Yeah.
from the UK, I think not only the perspective, just how you grew up, and you mentioned this club. Tell me more about that scenario.
The youth club, the thing about the youth club was funny because it wasn't necessarily a hip hop thing at all. It was basically where everybody from school went to hang out at night. Like we could go there and have, you could get food and snacks and just hang out and play pool and watch TV. And then they had this whole room which was just where the DJ equipment was. And most people then they weren't really into hip hop, and they definitely didn't want to hear us lot trying to learn to scratch on a sound system in a quite a public place. So it was an interesting time. It wasn't really like DJing wasn't cool then at all, like at all. It was it was something that you kind of got ridiculed for because they just saw it as like a what are you doing kind of thing. So it was interesting, growing up with that experience to it. And then when later on when I met people from London, when I went to college, and I actually met actual DJs from London, and it just blew my mind that they knew about all this music, and they had access to all this music, and they knew people, and it opened up a whole other world to me.
Yeah. When did you move towards being a competition DJ?
Well, I did a couple of very low key club nights. And then I started doing a regular kind of Sunday night thing just before I started competing. So I met DJ First Rate. He was like a local hero. So he was already doing DJ battles in London. And I would see him DJing local parties to me. So, and in the end, we ended up bumping into each other at record shops and stuff and getting to know each other. And actually, what is funny is that so we had a Sunday night thing at a venue in the next town over from me, which is Tunbridge Wells, and it's called the Forum. And at the Forum, they let us have the Sunday night for free. Now somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I heard you DJ. Do you want to come and play? It's Sunday night. It's no money. Just come and play tunes. Just a few of us get together and we just play music." I'm like, "Great, sounds good. I'll go and do it." Anyway, word got around about me, and First Rate turned up to battle me because I was on his turf, so to speak. So he literally turned up with his decks and his entire setup, and he set up, and then he did this whole, and then he battled me, and then after that, I mean, obviously I lost. I was like, just starting. I just kind of just got my foot in the door, doing just playing music I liked on a Sunday night, and and then we became friends, and he was like, look, I've got gigs, you've got records, let's combine our forces and just we can go and do parties together, we'll just split the money. And it was cool. It was just like a super easy arrangement, and through
Right.
him I started getting booked for stuff. But at the same time, it was because of him that I started competing. I always wanted to do the DMCs, and I would study the videos and everything. I've got a crate in the other room of VHSs of the DJ battles and everything. But I was very much a DJ like this. I would just look down all the time and just be focused on what I was doing. And he kind of taught me to be a bit more about the crowd and having some interaction. And so it was because of him I would go and practice with him all the time. So I just practiced, and then started coming up with routines. And then I went in for my first DMC, completely failed, didn't even get through to the evening, made some horrible mistakes. But I needed all of that because it was a good thing to learn. Like, okay, I'd never do that again. Just do it the right way. Make sure that you're ready. I wasn't ready, but later on I was more ready for it. So yeah, it was good. It was good just to have someone to spar with and just to kind of bounce ideas off of, and also you know just to have someone to just show them something and get feedback from them. He was very aggressive battle DJ. I was very much not an aggressive battle DJ. So yeah. So it was a good way to do it. And then we started going to do the things, doing the DMCs, and because we were going record shopping at Mr. Bongo's all the time. Tony Vegas was working at Mr. Bongo's. I used to just buy break records from him, and he was a guy with long hair and desert boots. And I was just like, and then one day he just was like cutting really well. And I was like, oh shit, look at this. And then there was a whole bunch of us, and we just decided to be a DJ crew, and that ended up being, Scratch Perverts, and that's what we ended up doing. So
You guys did really well.
we did insanely well. It was like it blows my mind. Every now and again I think about it, and I think, yeah, we did all of that, yeah. So, um, yeah, it was a good time. It was good times. So
I think it's cool to see that. It probably gave you some confidence. What was visible to you and not clear to the audience? Did they understand what went into it?
I don't know. I think we were so focused on making sure that it was right.
Yeah.
And that what we were doing was good enough. Like we were pretty adamant that we wanted it to, really compete and be on the level. I mean, I remember the first time, it was 98, we drove out to Germany, and we did the ITFs out in Germany. And I drove us there in my car, like all of us, and our decks and everything in the car. And just blew my mind. We were meeting all these people that we'd just seen on VHS tapes. Like meeting Babu and Shortcut and J-Rock and everybody, Repmatic and Rob Swift and Sinister and everybody. It was just like crazy for us. So, and then, the first night, also no one had heard of us outside of London. So when we got there and we did our set, like we felt that we'd really done something. Then we were like, yeah, we did that. So yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
I think it's good to live in that moment because you're getting this kind of confidence. You're competing for something. You're winning. You're seeing the popularity. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll tell you a little story. So a friend of mine, and I don't know if he was there doing the teams DMC or solo DMC. It was early 2000s. And I was a student, like I said, in London. And I was studying, so I couldn't, whatever reason, I couldn't come to the whole thing. And I came kind of halfway through towards the end, and they didn't let me in, whatever reason. And I had no money, so I could not afford to pay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm waiting outside, texting my friend inside who's competing. And, you know, he won. He won that night. And he comes outside just to kind of hang with me. And we're just hanging out. And then he goes back in, and the person who runs GMC, I believe his name is Tony, was really giving him shit. He's like, you missed the award. I was presenting you with the championship. You weren't even here. Like, where the fuck were you? Right. and so this guy, I mean, this is one of my best friends. So I don't know. It was a good memory. When we left, like I said, he won his DMC World Championship, and he has a trophy with him or whatever. And we're taking the bus, and a double-decker bus, just like you see in London.
Yeah.
And right, and we're just talking and laughing, and we're in the back, and then people were just kind of taking photos of us. And I just thought, like, I didn't realize how popular this shit is. But yeah, I mean, I guess he was popular to them enough to take photos.
No, it's amazing, you know, like you just when you're you know, when you're just doing 8-hour practice days, you're not thinking about, oh, maybe someone will want to take a picture with me one day or something like that. It's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking about making sure you nail the thing that you're trying to work on. So it's incredible that, yeah, like you say, you don't realize how big it is and the impact that it has later on. So yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think the average person or really anyone understands how much practice is involved to be a DJ like that. You're giving up a lot of your social life, a lot of your personal time. It is hours. It's like training for the fucking Olympics. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. It really is. Like, honestly, we would when we were competing as a team, we would leave my house at, like, we would treat it like a work day. So we would leave mine at maybe 8:39 in the morning. We would drive up to South London to Joel Primecut's house. We would stay there all day till maybe 6 o'clock at night, go out for lunch together, have a break, kind of work thing, you know, talk about anything but DJing, and then go back in and you know, and sometimes the other guys would come around as well. So like maybe Renegade and Harry Love as well would come around, and they would just sit in and just while we were practicing and put ideas in and things like that as well. So, you know, it was a real group effort, you know. So, but you know, that's what we were doing. We're just doing big long days that we treated as work days. So,
yeah, I think it's good. I mean, firstly, it made you a professional DJ. It made many people in the world of turntablism go on to be producers or other people in the music industry. And that the skills is one thing that you learn, but I think the ability to just train and teach yourself something new, it's a good personal development thing for life.
definitely, it definitely is.
I remember Tony Prince. He was on all the DMC tapes.
Yeah,
My friends were, as you'd imagine, neurotic kids, right? They're not, you know, they're socially awkward guys, and, you know, they DJ'd. And Tony Prince was like a real showman. And behind the scenes, he wasn't afraid to give them shit. I mean, remember, he's talking to like probably a teenager. It's like, why don't you straighten up?
he's a proper character. Like, he
Yeah,
comes from pirate radio, so he's always been like a, you know, he's always had that kind of presenting personality, and he's a lovely guy. Like, you know, he's brilliant. I've actually got a drop from him that I sometimes use in DJ sets and stuff. It's really funny. But he's just radio personality guy, so that completely comes across. But like you say, with the you know, kind of really insular DJ characters, it's just such a personality clash.
yeah. Yeah, it was hilarious. All right. Let's go on a tangent. Like I said, around this time, I didn't have a lot of money, but I did go out a lot. Somehow, somehow I spent my money on that. And
Yeah.
I went to this club many times called Plastic People in
Oh yeah.
short. Yeah. And that's when I realized the UK is on some shit that is totally different, that is fucking amazing. Like the
Mm.
music that I was hearing there, what the DJs were playing, I could not hear it anywhere else. I didn't know what any songs were. And I was like, this is unbelievable. I mean, the term they gave it was broken beat. It was kind of jazz. It was up tempo. And it was just crazy. And the people on the dance floor were destroying it. And I was like, wow, London is amazing. And I
Yeah.
just remember that. Does that bring up anything for you, Plastic People?
I only ever made it to. I went to a few nights at Plastic People, kind of around the time that that was really big. I was quite often out of town when that was going when things that I would have wanted to go to were
Yeah.
on. So I don't have a whole lot of stories about being at Plastic People. I probably made it there two or three times tops. I played there once. So but that place is legendary. It's such a shame that it's not there now. I know people hold it in really high regard. And the sound in there was unbelievable. You know, it was just unreal. So
It, it was a scene where the DJ was at the middle. Like, I believe they were playing stuff that you couldn't really get anywhere else. So it was unbelievable.
yeah, it was definitely early CD era.
Yeah.
So like CDRs, like that was kind of the thing. Like people would have their specials on, like, CDs. There was no USBs. It was like,
Yeah.
like it was either get a plate cut or take a CD. So yeah, it was legendary thing. I think there's probably people still trying to work out what some of the tunes they heard at Plastic People are to this day.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was amazing. All right. So I know we jumped around a little bit. So after your, let's say, victories in these
Yeah.
turntablism competitions, what happened next for you? What was your next phase?
Next thing I was doing was after I'd done all the competitions, I was I was getting a lot of work doing clubs and universities and colleges and stuff like that. I was doing a lot of parties, doing those kind of things, and also at the same time, I was also touring a lot with DJ Vadim. So we were doing tours where it would be me and him DJing together, and we would have MCs and instrumentalists, and Keller would come and beatbox, and it was a whole group that we were doing, and we were doing songs together, but putting them together on decks. It was a whole different way of doing it. And then that eventually switched to being a whole live band with us putting samples over the top of the band or with the band. I did that for a very long time. Um, and then it all kind of stopped, like probably mid 2000s, just kind of ground to a halt completely, all of it ground to a halt. I didn't want to do touring anymore. I was just never at home. I wasn't able to work on any music or do things. I was doing little bits of production for people here and there, and was doing cuts on quite a lot of UK hip hop records for Mark B and people like that. So and the creators I did. There are tons of stuff I did like for people's records. That's something I was doing a lot. Um, and then the work kind of disappeared, and I was just, oh, what's that?
Sorry,
That's all good.
that's my buzzer from my apartment, and it just goes off when they want to
Oh
let
wow,
people.
okay.
I mean, I don't care. It's just life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go on. I
Um,
didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, so yeah, it just kind of dried up eventually, and I was just doing very low key stuff like get just bar gigs on a weekend, and nothing really. Um, and then every now and again, I would get to do the odd thing that was, people would reach out, and I would get to do stuff, and I just kind of just I went back to work, I think, for a while. Yeah, I did. I went back to work for a while. Uh, and yeah, and I moved up to London and moved back out again. And yeah, there was a whole period where it was just all a bit up in the air and I didn't really know what I was doing. But I still had, I still had quite an energy for DJing and buying records and, looking for stuff. And I was still active, but just not at the level that I was before.
Thanks for sharing that. A lot of times when people are doing interviews, they just share all the highlights of life.
No,
And
no,
look
you
at,
got to, it's important to have the balance and talk about it all because there was definitely a point where there was no work and
yeah.
no one wanted to, really have me play or whatever. So it just is just the way it is. I'm grateful that I'm still able to do stuff now. So
Well, at that point, what shifted? What did you do next? I mean, you're on a high now. You DJ all over the world and you're on a roll. I mean, I feel like we skipped a few decades of life. What happened
yeah,
next for you?
honestly, my dad asks me this all the time. He's just like, what do you think happened? And I'm like, I don't honestly know. Like all of a sudden, my name must have come up for something, and I got asked to do something, and then it just kind of snowballed off of the back of that. Um, and I don't know. I just kept. I guess it was just because I was trying to be consistent with what I was doing. Um, I wasn't kind of, flitting around doing, you know, I'm not a house DJ, so I wasn't off trying to do house parties or, house music parties or anything like that. I was still trying to do my hip hop and, you know, even actually a lot of people are quite horrified that I play R&B sometimes as well. But that was a whole thing that I was doing as well. Like when I first started playing proper clubs and parties, I was playing hip hop and R&B and dancehall and stuff. So that's really my that was really my kind of my my back my in. So I've always played that stuff, and some people are always horrified that I even know about those records. But so I kind of just lent on that, and I still was doing that too, and it was fine. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of picked up, and I'm just very grateful that whatever happened. So
Yeah.
I can't honestly tell you what it is or why or what happened, but something happened.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I would say, those decisions that people make, should I play this or play that? I would say it seemed like a big deal at the time, but as a person just living life, thinking about it now, it's 2026. I mean, who cares? That's what I'm saying. Like, play whatever you want to play. And the fact that someone gets paid to DJ or gets paid to be an artist at all is an accomplishment. And if you play R&B or dancehall, like, who cares? I like R&B. I like that. Like, what does it
Same.
matter? Right? What does it matter? I mean, if you have the luxury of being known for playing exactly what you want, which is kind of where you are now, like, that's not
Yeah.
likely for everyone. That's just not going to be that way for everyone. All right. When I bring up the label BBE, what
Yep.
comes up for you?
Okay. BBE is, obviously, even before I did stuff for BBE, BBE was a legendary label. Amazing comps, Spinner comps, Kenny Dope comps, all of that. They were amazing. And I met Peter um through Mark B. So I was doing a session with Mark B, and at the end of the session, he was like, "I've got to go and meet Peter from BBE because I'm doing a library music comp for them. I've got to go and drop some stuff off to meet Peter." So that was the first time I met Peter, and then um, and then I ended up. I was working at this point as well, so I still had my day job. I was working as a van driver for my dad in the day, as like delivering parts to garages and stuff like that. That's what I was doing for a job. And then one day the phone rings and it's Peter, and he calls me and he's like, "Oh, I've got this project I want you to be involved in. How would you feel about being involved in this? It's going to be called Kings of Hip Hop, and it's going to be a double CD. One side is going to be you, and the other side is going to be DJ Premier." And I'm like, I'm literally driving a work van around, delivering parts to horrible people. and like, and I'm like sitting in this lay-by taking the call, like I can't believe this. So yeah, I was like, of course, I would love to do this. So he really gave me a huge leg up and put me on. And I've met so many amazing people through Peter as well, and all the BBE guys as well. That lead it used to work there. Also put me in touch with a lot of amazing people and put me forward for things. And I'm always super grateful to them for everything that they did. But amazing label, still going super strong. We're doing a big party for them in April in London for their 30th anniversary. Yeah, 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to hear the victories too. They shared some of the low points, some of the high points. I think
Yeah.
working with Premiere is a good one. Working with yeah.
Sadly, we didn't get to be in the same room when we did our mixes or whatever. But like, I was doing mine over here. I did mine remotely, and he did his where he was. So yeah, it was still super cool though. To have that, your name on the same
Yeah.
on the same release as one of the greats is unbelievable for me. So
Yeah, it is. It is. It is unbelievable. For our audience, many of you may know the label BBE, label out of the UK. Incredible reissues, comps, just like the one that was mentioned. They did some work with Con and Amir and Mural, Kings of Digging. Great tastemakers. And to me, the most important and one of the most important albums of all time is Jay Dilla's Welcome to Detroit.
yep,
So yeah, hell of a label. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I wasn't in a position to get an advance copy of that or anything. I remember going to buy it the day it came out. I was out, I was out looking for records somewhere, and I went to a shop. I can't even remember where that was, but I ended up buying it and getting it home. And I was very surprised at how different it was to Slum Village album.
Yeah.
I was like, this is totally different. This is like
Yeah. Yeah.
the same but different. It's like a crazy step almost 10 years into the future. It's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, it was totally different. Slum Village was more messy, right? And I mean, that's part of what made it great, right? The offbeat timing. And
Mm,
he kind of developed his sound to be a lot bigger on Welcome to Detroit. It's a hell of an album. It's like an evolution. Certain parts were cleaner. It all sounded louder and bigger. I mean, it's an
yeah.
unbelievable album. Obviously, one of the greatest albums of all time. And you know, listen to the show. This is like half the time we're talking about Dilla. It's getting out of hand how much I'm talking about it. But yeah, I had to bring it up. I mean, it's one of the greatest albums of all time. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's fantastic record. And it's one of those ones where when you play it, you always hear something different. I always hear some extra sample or I work out some extra sample in it that I missed before. Something that's like just sneakily in there. I'm like, how did you make that work? How did you put that in there? It's quite incredible. I like records like that where they've got like good replay value, where you might not play it for a long time and then you go back to it and you're like, nah, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'd say that's perfect. That's exactly what it is. It's replay value. When I don't listen to it for a while, I think like, oh, I got to go back, and it's always sounds like the best shit out there.
Yeah,
And let's just play this. I can't talk about Dilla enough. I feel like getting different people's perspective, I'll keep learning and appreciating it more.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay. So what was the next phase, right? You worked at PBE. You started work. I mean, you had that comp with Premiere, and you're on such a high now. But what are some of the highlights of the next phase of your life?
Oh, well, not long after actually, not long after Kings of Hip Hop, we ended up doing, I think it was around the same time, maybe. We did an incredible party in London. And that was where I met Con and Amir for the first time. Um, but in the hip hop room, it was me, Premier, and Marley Marl. That was quite insane. And like, yeah, it was crazy. The vibe in there was absolutely nuts. And this was pre Serato too, so I'm like two huge record crates of 12s with me, like
Yeah.
going to play the warm up for these guys. So yeah, um, yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff happened. I ended up working for BB for a while as well. When they first opened the record shop in London Fields, I was kind of helping to run that, and I was buying secondhand records for them, and putting stuff in the shop, um, and then helping out with the in stores and everything as well. So yeah, it was cool. And then I moved away, and so I ended up doing something different for them. But yeah, it was an amazing time,
Yeah.
amazing time.
So was that your first experience being kind of a record buyer versus
Yeah, I wasn't really doing a whole lot of record fairs and stuff. I'd done the odd one. My friend Johnny Roast. Did you meet Johnny Roast? When he came out to one of the live conventions, but I'm not sure if you would have met him. But he's basically my record teacher,
okay.
like so. Um, and he would do record fairs in London on a Sunday morning, and I would go up with him and be his box boy. So despite, having just won the DMCs and all of this kind of stuff, I was still getting up at 6 in the morning and going to lug crates in and out of a dirty hall in North London. But it was great. I learned so much from him and from everybody that I was around. And then eventually I was like, "Oh, I think I might bring a crate and you know see how it goes." But again, it was like learning the DJing. It was like that was a whole other skill to learn how to price records for people, and have the right stuff for people and all of that. It's a whole other thing entirely. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, I like to learn about that. I mean, as only being a customer, I always try to think of like the other side, like what is a record dealer thinking? I've had a lot of record dealers on this show, and it's a different life. I mean, you have to procuring records to sell them is not a fancy business. So I just think it's cool to learn about.
It's yeah, just constantly buying records and hoping that they're the right thing that somebody wants to buy. And then of course you get something that everybody wants and you've only got one copy,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the demand is nuts. So you can't.
Yeah.
So shout out to anyone that can really do it and have stock of stuff, and you know, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
difficult thing to maintain.
Uh, I think when we were talking, you mentioned that you have a record store. Do you have one now in 2026?
No, I don't. I left that last year, just because I'd moved away from where the shop was, um, and it was costing me a lot of. Also, well, it was costing me a lot of money to be there and not be there, and I wasn't able to get the right kind of records. The shop had kind of grown. It had gone from being like a bit of a kind of local secret where we had kind of cool records to people coming in and asking for ABBA and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
um, and it was cool, and I really loved it, and I'm really really glad that I got to do it, and it was because it's something that I've always wanted to do. But I'm not there anymore. So Andre, my friend Andre, DJ One of a Kind, he's got the shop now with Steve, who I had the shop with. Um, and they sell all kinds of stuff, but they got crazy records down there. So yeah, but I
Yeah.
loved I loved having a shop. It was one of my favorite things that I've done outside of DJing.
I think it's cool. I think, like anything, you go through different kind of times in life. You don't have to do the same thing forever. And record stores oftentimes go in and out of business. That's normal. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's not like in the 80s and 90s where there'd be a record store open for 30 years. It's just not like that anymore.
No, I mean, maybe I'll do something maybe further down the line. I've still got a lot of stuff here, not this stuff that you can see, but like I've got other stuff that's kind of tucked away for a rainy day. So
Yeah.
we'll see, we'll see. Never say never. I still do. I've had a record stall at We Out Here Festival for the last couple of years, and that's really good because that's very concentrated. It's basically a hot tent with about 20 or 30 dealers in it, um, and a constant weekend stream of people coming through just to buy records and look for different stuff as well. So that was a very cool thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to when I lived in the UK, I remember going to these just normal markets, which barely exists in the US and Canada. There's no markets like there are in the UK. And there were most of them, at least in the ones in London, there were record dealers and famous ones in Camden Market, really good ones.
Yeah,
And Jazzman, famous one. And other ones, I don't even know what the name of these bar. I guess it's called Islington Market. It's just a market in the area that I lived.
Chapel
And
Market.
yeah, that's what it's called. All right. I'm glad
Chapel
you.
Market.
Yeah.
There used to be an amazing shop on Chapel Market called Disc. Was that there when you was there?
Yes, it was there.
Yeah, so Disc was a legendary shop. Now, across the street from Disc there was a venue called the Elbow Rooms.
Oh, you kidding me? I've been there like crazy. I almost died there, and lots of stuff happened. I used to go regularly. There's a bit of hooliganism at the time, so
Yeah.
let's just say I went out a lot, and there was a lot of just things happening: jacket stealing, people getting in fights. A lot of people were just kind of injured. Like you'd see late at night, people riding like shopping carts, right down the street.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of people just bleeding from the shopping cart injuries. It was pretty crazy. I saw it it was consistent. I was like, every time, if you stay out late enough, you're going to see someone kind of just walking away from riding a shopping cart. I was in university at the time, so we were also stupid. So yeah, I do remember Elbow Room. I can't believe you brought it up. Yeah.
That's a classic night out thing to do in the UK. Steal a shopping trolley and push someone around in it. It's quite a normal thing. I'm really sorry to
No, men
used to,
and women
but,
do it. Like both men and women do. I think I just want to make that clear. This is a constant image that I saw, and like young girls are like limping away after falling off. It's constant. It's crazy.
it's a regular thing. Even now that they make you pay for the shopping trolleys, like you have to put a pound coin in to use the shopping trolley. That's not going to stop people pushing them up and down the high street.
Oh yeah, hey, I really like these memories you bring. I didn't think you were going to bring up Elbow Room.
So I used to do a Tuesday night at the Elbow Rooms, and what I would do was I would drive up there, and Disc was open till late, so I would drive up there 2 hours, maybe two hours before. I would go to Disc, buy a load of records, and then try them out in Elbow Rooms on the Tuesday night. On the Tuesday, the Elbow Rooms got so rough in the end, we used to call it the Hellbow Rooms. So it got so rough in there, unfortunately, but it was good fun for a long time. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's so crazy. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, and there was I mean, I guess minor gangs. Like I don't know if there were gangs, but there were definitely a bunch of guys together starting shit. It was I felt fine. Like I don't know, I was with other people. It didn't stop me from going there, but there were definitely people saying like, "This is pretty fucked up," right? But it's fine. I got to know that area. I got to know London. Yeah. There's a few places, like I said, lived in Islington, close to Angel Station. And there's just a few places there that were legitimately rough. And now when I go there, they're all quite nice. So I guess that's the cycle of life.
Yeah, it's funny because like when you get to say not so much Essex Road, but whatever the other road is, the road that's parallel to it, that's very upmarket and very posh, and it always has been. And then you get to Highbury Corner, and it's really rough.
Yeah.
And they're kind of hanging on to the posh. So
no. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're bringing this up. Yeah, and I guess what I was gonna say is these markets, there's record dealers, and I just remember learning from them and meeting with them and talking. It was cool. And the world of beat digging in the UK is very different than it is in the US. As you know, you've traveled around the world. For our audience, tell us more. I know you've done a lot of, let's say, comps related to libraries. For someone getting started who wants to learn, can you give a little bit of an introduction to UK library records? Some of your favorites.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, library UK library records, something that I stumbled upon by accident, um, and then found out more about through my friend Mark B. Um, but basically, they're production music for TV and documentary and film use. They're not meant for the general public to buy. They're not supposed to be for sale. They were something that you had to get directly from the company and then get permission to use in your production, and then everyone would get their kind of fees and stuff. But the cool thing about library records is that they would be very specific. So you would get, you know, drama, drama and industry, and all that kind of stuff. And they would be very tailored towards um, whatever the current trend musically, whatever the sound was at the time, or sometimes even a bit more forward thinking than that. So some of these drama records, the UK ones, they just sound like hip hop records already. They're just ready. Like, um, I mean, I think probably the most famous ones that people really, really look for here is Themes which is Drama Suite, volumes 1 and 2 on Themes, which is still hideous money, which um, which got a actual physical release because it was used as a TV show soundtrack called The Hangman. So there's a TV series called The Hangman, and all the music from it comes from Drama Suite 1 and 2, which came out on a budget label called Contour, and it just looks super cool. You don't see the record around anymore. It used to be kind of around. I remember took a friend of mine digging over here. He came down to where I live, and he found one, and I still hadn't found one at this point. He literally pulled one out in front of me in the charity shop. I was like, I can't believe he did that. But anyway, I digress. The other one that's good, that's similar, but not as good, it's still good. Drama Montage 1 and 2 on Bruton. So, but yeah, there's lots of the key labels here are KPM, the Wolfe, and then there's the Wolfe kind of spin-offs, which is Rouge, and what's the other one called? I'm looking at them right now, but I can't see the name. I can't
Chapel?
remember. No, Chapel, but there's another DeWolf spin-off label. Let me just look. Hold on. It's going to
Yeah.
drive me mad.
Yeah, if you gotta look, that's all good, brother.
It's going to drive me mad if I can't remember. Um, Hudson.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hudson. Hudson. And then you've also got some of the smaller ones like um, Soundstage, Bosworth. There's tons. There's so many, but they didn't do them in huge runs. And then some of the, obviously some of them are super desirable, really, really, really hard to find. I got lucky a couple of times with finding some, but like I say, the first ones I found were in charity shops, and they were like harpsichord, medieval harpsichord, and children's music. But don't sleep on the children's music ones. They're actually pretty good.
Thanks for sharing that. I think, I mean, keep going. If you got more, I'll take all the knowledge you got.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's actually there's a really good KPM called Children and Animation. It's really, really, really good. Much better than it should be. It's really quite terrifying. Um, good sample gear, but I think they're quite hot on people sampling them these days. But anyway, yeah, this the kids ones are good. I know some of the later electronic ones that everyone bypassed, like the late 80s KPMs and stuff, they're quite sought after now. They're kind of considered like ambient records almost. So, they're getting reissued and they're going for big money too. Like some of that Alan Hawkshaw Brutons where he was experimenting with synths and stuff. They're very sought after now. Like you can't find them anymore anywhere. So, but yeah, the first lot I ever got all in one go was Conroy. I forgot about Conroy. Sorry. Um, the first lot I ever got in one go, there was a record shop opened up in my town where I grew up. And he said to me one day, "Do you know anything about library records?" And I said, "I know a little bit. I've got a few that I'm looking for." I gave him a list. I literally wrote them down off the top of my head. And I said, "Look, I'm looking for these. If you ever come across them," he goes, I'm supposed to be getting some next week. I'll let you know." I was like, "All right, cool." So I went back the next week and he goes, "Oh, those libraries, they fell through. It didn't happen." I was like, "All right, no worries." So, but then it was like the week before Christmas and I go in there because I was going there every week at this point because he was getting such amazing records. But he goes, "Oh, those libraries are here. They're at the back." So he because nobody else that came in the shop cared or even had ever even asked him for them. He just he didn't put any of them in the shop until I'd gone through them. So I had access to two huge crates of libraries, and the first lot of stuff I got from him was Big Beat on KPM, Feelings on Conroy, like Beat Incidental, bunch of the like heavy hitters, Sven Liebeck, My Thing, all of them, like all in one go, and he was charging me like fivers for them. And I rung up Mark, and I was just like, "I think the most amazing thing has just happened. Like I just found all these records." So I bought Mark down, and Mark bought a few as well, and I think he did pretty well too. But I still kept going there and finding more and making discoveries and stuff. So what was the other one? Blackout. I got Black Pearl and Blackout, all of those, all in one day.
You're naming some of the most famous ones.
Yeah.
And our audiences, this is exactly kind of why I asked you, right? Because we could all learn from it. People could look these up. It's all great music. And the world of library and UK library is super dope and it's endless. There's tons of stuff. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, and do you know what? I'm still finding ones that I'm looking for. Johnny Trunk does a record fair once a year over here. And that is probably the place that I've never seen so many library records in one record fair room before, like that. Like
Where is it?
he does it in East London, at a place called the Mild May Club. It's called the Trunk Groovy Fair, and it's like 2 floors of records and cool stuff. But I've never seen that many library records in one kind of record fair.
Okay.
Especially not in, I went to the one it was in November, I think. I got some really cool stuff, like really good stuff, and the prices were good, and just a lot of interesting records there. It's not like usual record fairs over here these days.
When you found that jackpot in that store close to your parents' house, how did you feel?
I mean, it blew my mind. I was just like, I can't believe this. I would love to know I don't know to this day where they came from. Because there was the charity shop where the first few that I found came from was next door to a theatre. So I'm wondering if they came from there, and then maybe they found more and they ended up at the record shop. But it was crazy. Honestly, it was the best buzz.
Yeah.
And then I went back every week until I'd kind of gone through the bulk of them.
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff in there that I left that I probably had no business leaving, but I didn't know about. And you can't have them all. Not yet.
Yeah. That is life. I just wanted to ask. I wanted to kind of touch on that for a moment because it seemed like it was such a victory. I just want our audience to kind of live with you for a moment in
Yeah.
that. All right. Our next segment, which is everyone's favorite segment, it's called Drop a Gem on Them.
Okay.
It is a word association game. I'll name people, places, spaces, records. You tell me what comes to mind. It can be a feeling, an experience, a personal story, really anything. And tangents are welcome.
Okay.
Brian Bennett, Voyage,
Ah,
Solstice.
yep. A record I didn't know about, found in the rock section locally to me. I rang up Mark and I said, just found this Brian Bennett record with a spaceship on the front. This is a good one, isn't it? And he was just like, why are you still talking to me? Buy that record immediately. And then I got it home and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. I've probably had that record spare copies twice. It's really tough to find. There's a 7 as well, the UK 7 of it as well.
It's such an incredible record. And this is
Yeah.
like the highest level of breakbeats to me. I mean, it's one of my favorite songs. And yeah, I mean, anyone who hasn't heard of this one, look it up. Like, you gotta listen to this. It's unbelievable.
Yes. Solstice by Brian Bennett is unbelievable. The mix down on it is just huge. It just sounds enormous.
Yeah. All right. Next record. Lalo Schifrin, More Mission Impossible.
Definitely one of my favorite early kind of pickings of things that had been sampled, famously by Portishead in this case. And I was just, and that record actually kind of set me off looking for more interesting soundtrack records. I kind of knew a few, but that was like, okay, there could be more that's like this. And of course, that is a huge, never-ending hole to go down soundtrack music. So
it's a hip hop classic. That's like a breakbeat classic. It's a great place to start, and it's a relatively easy record to find. I mean, it's not that it's cheap, but it's relatively easy. And
I still see it around, and I'm always happy to see it.
yeah,
I'm always like, nice.
yeah. It
Yeah,
makes you feel good every time because it's such a sick record. The drums are crazy, so many sounds. Portishead, unbelievable. All right, next record on BBE, JD Rico Suave, Bossa Nova.
yes. So I did an edit of this for them on BBE, which came out on a 45. So I'm very happy to have had to just, to be able to do that for them. It was quite an amazing thing to get asked to do. So all I did was just made it a bit longer. I didn't try and mess with it. I just made it longer because it's like a super short record.
Yeah.
And I was getting really frustrated that every time I played it out, I would take the whole album out to play that.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
yeah. That was a good one to get to do.
It's good for the dance floor too. That makes sense. You're a DJ.
Also, always a winner for me.
Yeah. Still Shining, Busta Rhymes.
Probably my favorite Dilla beat. It's the one that I always go to when people ask me about what my favorite Dilla beat is. That's the one that made me go, what is going on in this record? Like, what's happening here? This is incredible. Like, the subtleties in it, and the way it's programmed, and the way he wraps around the drum programming is like nuts. And then when you hear the sample, and you hear how he pulled that out of that as well, so that's some whole other mystery madness going on there as well.
Yeah, the combination of Dilla and Busta is the best because they're both very unorthodox, right?
Yeah.
And like there's just a compliment of Busta's voice with that kind of Rhodes loop. It is so sick. And I think Busta, first, he's an extremely famous and popular rapper, but I don't think he gets enough credit for everything he did related to Dilla. The Diligence mixtape, almost every album had Dilla, almost everyone, while he was alive.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gets credit, but people don't talk about it enough. I feel like it should be discussed more frequently. Maybe it's because Busta's such a star and he's just in all these different directions, but he's committed to that shit.
I was so excited when Anarchy album dropped, right? And it had, think I think the opening to it is 3 knots tunes in a row. No, hang on, I'm thinking of Extinction Level Event. Scrap that. But I was excited when Anarchy came out because that's got Enjoy the Ride on it. Show Me What You Got. They're also big favorites of mine. So big favorites of mine.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about Dilla so much on the show. I feel like I should say something more cohesive about it. So I might. Like, I feel like there's already so many people who talk about Dilla. Like, there's a cottage industry of people
Yeah.
just talking about it. There's great books. I've interviewed Dan Charnas, other people. We've had house shoes on this show. I should think about it. If I'm gonna have a show, I should make it good. So yeah, it's just something I've been thinking about now that I'm talking to you.
Oh, just as a quick side note, I always wonder if there's stuff that they did that didn't come out.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
about that often.
Yeah. Maybe Russia has it. And if you've ever read the Dilettante book or talked to Dan Charnas, it got a little messy afterwards. So who controls what and how it comes out? Let's just say it seemed to be a complex affair. And
Right.
even in the Diligence mixtape, which I loved, I played a lot. I mean, there was issues with that and who gets whatever. I mean, I guess it does matter. It doesn't impact my enjoyment of the music, but it was a bit messy.
I didn't know about any of that at all. I just enjoyed it when it came out. Did you get a 12-inch for it?
No, I did not.
Yeah, there's a vinyl for Diligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Um,
I always like when people
it's
bring records onto the show, actual records. That's good.
it's here somewhere.
And I'm impressed that you could pull a record relatively quickly, considering how many. I'm sure there's some organization to you.
It's
I'm
all
not-
it's all in alphabetical order.
Oh, amazing! Mine's all in vibes, just order of
Here you go.
vibes. Oh, crazy, crazy.
Yeah, so this I don't know if this is a bootleg or what. It feels like it the pressing feels like it's UK or European,
Okay.
but
It could be a bootleg. It doesn't. It's a mixtape on purpose. They had to make it a mixtape versus an album for
yeah,
many reasons, right? So, I mean, I'm glad it was pressed. People could play it out.
it's a pretty good pressing, yeah. So it's just amazing that it exists.
It is. It is. Next rapper, Johnny
Okay.
Hammond, Gears.
Yep. One of my favorite albums ever. And this was also one of the first things that I figured out from Ultimate Breaks and Beats. And I went and bought it. There's a record shop. There used to be a record shop in the town where I grew up called the Compact Disc. It's not there anymore, but it's called something. It is still a record shop, bizarrely, but it's not called that anymore. But I remember going and buying that on my lunch break at school. I walked from school, which was like a mile and a half to the record shop, found Johnny Hammond Gears, and I've still got it. I've got it here. Still got the copy I bought to this day on my lunch break. It just blew me away. Obviously, I loved Shifting Gears because I knew it from Ultimate Breaks and Beats, but I hadn't quite realized how good the whole album was, and also that then put me on a Mizell Brothers tangent, which is the whole thing, that's been a constant for me. Is like, if I find something that I like, I want to then find out as much as I can that those guys did, or the people involved did, see what else they did that sounds like that. So that's definitely one of those records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peak Mizell Brothers. The song Why Can't We Smile? Good mid-tempo joint. The chord progressions, the complexity. I mean, it's amazing.
yeah, the harmonies and everything with all of that as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous record.
Tell me about the impact. You mentioned Ultimate Breaks and Beats. Tell me about the impact of Ultimate Breaks and Beats on you.
Huge for us. Like I remember my friend Phil coming to school with a tape he'd made of Ultimate Breaks and Beats Volume 3. And that was the first time I'd ever heard Apache in its entirety. First time I'd ever heard Dance to the Drummer's Beat in its entirety. Like I knew it from, Live at Union Square, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and things like, various hip hop records that had sampled it. Never heard the actual songs. And then of course it was a quest to find out who they were and who the actual artists were and things like that. So, shout out Breakbeat Lou all day. Like absolutely huge impact for us. And also taught you to go and look for other records besides soul and funk records because there's a lot of stuff on there that's not soul and funk. You know, who'd have thought we'd be buying Aerosmith or the Fancy record or and on and on and on. It's just incredible.
Yeah. One of the most important series ever, foundational to the world of beat digging.
Yeah,
Foundation. Me,
greatest cover artwork as well.
hell yeah, hell
Like
yeah.
most amazing artwork. And one of my current quests is because I hammered all of my Ultimate Breaks and Beats records so much, is I'm now trying to find clean copies so that I've got nice copies that haven't got tons of stickers all over them and that are burnt out, tons of Q burn and burnt out and everything. So I'm just trying to find nice copies of Ultimate Breaks and Beats. I've got a list in my phones of what one I actually need.
Yeah, very organized. Very organized.
Yeah.
Next record, Jazzy Jeff, Touch of Jazz.
Touch of Jazz, the record that got me into looking for samples. That's the record right there. Also, just a DJ. It's a DJ track where he's cutting up jazz funk records. It's incredible. I play it all the time. I've got many, many copies of that record here in my house. Um, Pivotal record for me. I say it all the time. People are probably sick to death of me talking about it, but I love that record so much. Um, and I always have to tell the story as well because I didn't know about any of these records really. That at the time there was a guy came on the radio on one of the radio shows, a guy called Mark Webster, and he named all the samples for it. And he played all the records on the radio, and it blew my mind. And then the next thing I know, I'm continuing this. This is pre getting a copy of Gears, so I'm trying to find Bobby Humphrey's records and trying to find a copy of Places and Spaces and yeah, crazy. And T Plays It Cool. Remember getting my copy of T Plays It Cool from Virgin Megastore. Being so excited.
I could hear the emotion. It seems like one of your early key foundational records. So thanks for sharing that with us.
No, honestly, it really is. And I never get bored of hearing it or other people playing it, or I don't get bored of playing it. I'm never like, oh, I'm playing Touch of Jazz again. I just love the record. It's just ever. Also as well, it reminds me of another thing, which is there was a kind of a period around the rare groove era. There was this thing called London Beats. Have you heard about London Beats?
No.
Legendary UK bootleg. It's basically just a drum loop with various rare groove tunes cut up over it. So it's like bits of the JBs, bits of Sweet Charles, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing, just like proper raw. And that's actually also got that's got Dominoes in it, Donald Byrd too. But I always think of those records together, like London Beats, Touch of Jazz. They're those kind of records where it's just instrumental and they're just cut up records. I've got a bunch of those things here. I just love them. They've just got a charm and a feel to them, which just makes me happy.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing. Firstly, thanks for sharing it with us, like how it makes you feel. And secondly, thanks for that knowledge. You're giving people from around the world the UK perspective, which is what we all want. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next record, Camp Low, Swing.
Camp Low Swing, 2-copy DJ battle essential, but also crucially a great double-sider because Lucchini on the other side. So it's an essential part of your DJ crate if you're playing a hip hop night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will admit that I do play Lucchini more than I play swing these days, but early days of DJing, I was playing more up tempo. So I would play swing more than I would play Lucchini. But I remember doing a party in the south of France on the tour with Vadim, and the first record I played was Lucchini, and it was like the equivalent of, I don't know, it went off in a way that I've never really managed to repeat again with that record. It was like, wow, love this record.
That's such a vision you're playing. Like that's not it's not really what I expected. I mean, I've been to the south of France. As a guy sitting in January in a frozen New York apartment, south of France sounds pretty good right now. To hear the reaction to Camp Lo, it's very surprising. I just didn't know that they liked hip hop in that part of France. I know they did in Paris and other places.
Yeah,
It
it was
seems
really,
surprising.
really southern France, and it was like, yeah, it was the first thing I played in my set. It was what I opened my set with that night, and I was just like, wow, okay.
Well, where was it? I feel like I'm
I
curious. I've been to the south of France for about 10 days and I went to some nice places. They didn't seem like a kind of hip hop oriented places, if you ask me, but that could have been where I was. Were you
I
closer
want
to
to
Marseille, where it's a bigger city, or?
no, I want to say it was maybe Bordeaux or somewhere like that.
Okay. Okay.
Re- Yeah, it was crazy. It was the best response I've ever had to that record ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you bring back Vision with France. I love it there. I'd like to go back. I'd like to go digging there. Something for the future. Next record, Power of Zeus.
Power of Zeus, the record that was at the top of my wants list for the longest time. Uh, I don't even own a copy anymore. I sold it. When I moved about maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I sold a lot of my records. And one of the first things that went was records that were just drum breaks that I didn't really have a lot of attachment to other than being drum break records. So regrettably, I sold my Power of Zeus. Um, but what an incredible drum break. It's actually quite difficult to use it and make it sound how you know it. Like when you hear it on all the kind of classic beat miners records and stuff, it's like, but when you actually listen to it, you got to chop it out. It's pretty amazing. But the sound of it is incredible.
Yeah.
Just doesn't sound like any other drum break.
Yeah. It's a massive, big drum break.
Yeah, it's difficult as well because it's got a huge gong hit right at the start, which is louder than everything, and then the drums kind of come in underneath it. So
Yeah.
you've got to get rid of all of that gong before you get to any of the drums.
Another big time drum break. A New Day by Skull Snaps.
Skull Snaps, yep. One of the that's such a good record anyway. Um, I still don't have a 45 for that, shockingly. Never found it. But I have got the album, and I bought that a very long time ago when it was affordable. But yeah, I just love it. Just again, it's just one of those things that just sounds like it does. I think who was it that found it? Steezo or Dulio? One of those guys, I
I
think,
think
found it. Steezo was the first
Diesel was the
use.
first use that I'm aware of, but who
Yeah,
knows?
but the whole album's crazy. There's tons of other good stuff on the album too. Like Trespassing off that album is ridiculous as well.
Okay. Let's go to a rare groove classic.
Okay.
James Mason, Rhythm of Life.
Ah, God. You need deep pockets for a copy of James Mason these days, sadly. Um, what an amazing record, you know. I just got good memories of being at Soul Weekenders, hearing that record on big systems, and just watching people just have the best time to that record. It took me a long time to find one. I actually found one on that same European tour that I was on with Vadim. So it was my 30th birthday. Yeah, it was my 30th birthday. And on my birthday, I'd spent the entire day on the tour bus driving to a gig, did the gig, late night, crazy late night, got up in the morning. We had a day off the next day. And so, but we'd arranged to meet everyone in the lobby in the hotel. And I went down in the morning and everyone was standing up against the wall, which I thought was really weird. And I was like, what are you lot doing? And then they all moved and there was a big sign saying record fair today on the day, 29th of September. So I was like, they were like, do you want to go? I'm like, of course. So I go to this record. I asked the lady at the reception where the record fair is, and she points out the door, and it's in the next door to the hotel. So anyway, I go to the record fair, and I bought two things at this record fair. I bought my Columbia GP3. Guy had a whole table. He'd imported a whole table of brand new in the box Columbia GP3s, and then another guy had a James Mason for €30, which was like
Wow.
the greatest deal of all time. And it's like, it's a really nice copy. But yeah, so that's my tedious record buying James Mason story, but I have one.
Oh, I like all these stories. Something about James Mason reminds me of the UK, maybe because it was reissued there, or maybe because the rare groove scene is kind of from the UK, even though it's American records, a lot of them. Just something about it. I have that connection.
Yeah, it definitely was a record that I think got its popularity over here for sure. I actually got to see him at We Out Here last year. Got to see him do that. It was incredible. Absolutely
amazing.
incredible. Yeah.
Next record, Steve Arrington, Betty Bye.
Yeah. Great album. Yeah, Hall of Fame one, Steve Arrington. Ridiculous record. When I had the shop, that was a record that I could sell all day long. Like people coming in looking for boogie and soul and stuff like that, and rare groove, if they didn't know that, because not when you get the younger DJs in, they would want kind of certain disco records or whatever. But I'd be like, but this is like the best value for money record ever. Like you're gonna spend like 10-15 pounds on this record, but there's like 6 or 7 cuts you can play out on it. But yeah, Betty Bye, classic sample as well. Tribe Called Quest. It's got everything. It's a great record. Yeah.
Yeah, great record. One of my personal favorites, and it's what I call cheap heat. Like you can find it. It's
absolutely cheap heat. Yeah. Betty Bye comes on the 7 as well.
Okay.
Comes on 45. Yeah.
Next record, and this is a record that I learned about through the internet in the past 1 or 2 years. I've never heard of it before. Michael Noira Quartet. The record is called Call.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll put the record up. It's got a brain on it with like a spiral. Yeah. This record, are you familiar with it?
I used to have that record. I bought it when I was touring around Europe. Any time I had off when I was out there, I was in any record shop that was close to the venue where we were playing. Before sound check, I would always go off and look for records. And because we were out in Europe, and I was literally anything I could find on MPS, I would buy, kind of blind almost. And that was one of the ones that I bought. Yeah, it's got quite expensive now, so it's something that I ended up selling when I needed some money at one point. But it's a really nice record. He's got another good record on ECM as well. That's got like a kind of pink and purple cover, I think. That's really crazy as well. But Call is like bit more electric piano kind of based, and someone sampled it. I can't remember who. Yeah, someone sampled that record for sure.
Helter Skelter sampled it.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I was listening earlier. You can barely hear. I mean, you could hear the sample, but it's not the main. It's not the it. It's not easily tied to the album, right?
No.
Yeah, and I think the internet has many great things. I mean, we're talking right now through the internet. I have a internet show, so I like it. But this record, I mean, I don't know how rare it is, but I see it everywhere on the internet, and now it's in my regular rotation. I listen to this kind of vibed out Rhodes type fusion jazz, and I love it. So there's an
Yeah.
upside to all of this.
Always. I mean, my favorite thing is that every day I find out about a new record, some new music that I never heard of before, just from someone sharing it or talking about it, or someone sending me something, it's it's never ending. It keeps me interested, keeps me going. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of a bit of what I do with this show, right? Like I have clips, they, get shared a lot. A lot of the main knowledge sharing is at the end of the show. I mean, that's the part people tell me they like the most. People who either know a lot and just like talking about records, which is most beat diggers, or people just learning about the game, like hearing different records, getting opinions. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. For our last question, I often ask something more introspective. What do you care about most in this world, music and beyond?
Music or beyond.
Yes.
Mm, that's a pretty crazy question. It's difficult because I think probably most things and most people that I've met who are kind of been important to my life have been it's all been music related somehow. Like my mum's taste in music influenced me. All my close friends that I have, my very, very close friends, they don't come to parties all the time with me and everything, but I met all of them either through record shops or being at a gig with them or friends of theirs and then meeting them. I would say that music has probably been the most important thing because everyone that I've met, I mean, is that's had any kind of influence or anything has been music related. I'm talking to you now. I met you at a record fair.
Yeah. Hey,
and
yeah.
and like all it's just been a constant thing.
Okay.
It's been a constant for me. It
Oh,
makes me happy. It makes me, it's it's kind of my reason for getting up in the morning. I like to get up and do stuff and, you know, hopefully, reach somebody or inspire somebody or, because people inspire me all the time. I love to watch other DJs and hear other DJs and everything. It inspires me. It makes me keep going. Like I'm like, right, I could do better at this, or I could find better records now. And I'm watching some people post up what records they're buying. I'm like, I could go and do. I need to go and look for more records, not sit here.
yeah.
So but it's just been a big important thing for me. I realized pretty early on it was important for me. That's probably not the answer you wanted.
It's a great answer. It's a great answer. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's a fantastic answer. Anything you're excited about?
What am I excited about? I'm excited that I got to put some records out this year, like last year. I haven't put any records out for a long time, and
Where can people
um,
find you? What are some of the names people can look for?
well, I did some records. So if you go to Dinked Records, they put out 245s that I did. One I did with Jim Sharp. Big shout out to Jim Sharp because he kind of helped me. and really actively encouraged me to get them out and to do it. Shout out to Kev from Dinks as well for, putting the things out. I also did a record for First Word Records, which was like a compilation album of releases that we'd done. So it was me, Tall Black Guy, Kid Knievel, and Eric Lau. It started off actually in this living room right here, where and they came here and they sampled records from my house, but they weren't allowed to take any records with them. So it was called Nothing Leaves the House. And so we all made a new beat, and then we did a double vinyl album of those, because previously they were just on 7-inch, 45 singles. So yeah, we did that. What else did I do this year? Last year. Oh, I did the Surprise Chef mixtape with J Rock for Big Crown. Shout to Acolypse. Yeah, that was amazing to get asked to do that. The response for it was unbelievable, and I'm super, super happy that people loved it, and it sold out so quickly. I have people messaging me going, I need this. I'm like, I can't help you. I've got my own copy now, and that's it. Like, I'm done. There's no more.
Surprise Chef is the best. I mean, they are amazing. I love them. It's great that you had that collaboration.
It's incredible. Yeah, my friend Anna put me onto them years ago, and that's how I got into them. And then they were signed to Mr. Bongo for a while, and then they ended up being with Big Crown, and then yeah, Acolypse just reached out and was like, "Hey, I've got this idea. Do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Absolutely, that'd be incredible." So yeah, we just did it. It was so much fun to do. I really enjoyed putting it together. So yeah, and this week I just finished. I do these for my own enjoyment, and one day I'll put them all up, but I do kind of in the tradition of the Con and Amir tapes, Supreme and Jake One tapes, the Con Men tape, DJ Shame, all of those, the kind of sample mixes, DJ Rears live from Brooklyn. I do those every now and again, and I've been doing those for a long time as well. And I've got volumes and volumes of them, and they've all just been CDRs that I did individually, and I just gave them to friends. I gave them out. I didn't do them to make money. I've never sold them. I just gave them to people. And then I started putting them on Mixcloud when Mixcloud became a thing. So there's a bunch of them on there, but I just finished my newest one this week. So I've just finished it. So
what's it called?
That's the next thing. Pardon?
What's it called?
Oh, it's called The Source. So before they were called really stupid names, because like people would have nicknames for me like Champion Nerd and things like that. And if you're if you're nerdy, if you're considered nerdy, back in the day they would call you a train spotter. And then if you weren't a train spotter, you would then become an anorak. Like, because train spotters wear weatherproof coats, which over here they call it anorak. So that became another thing they would call me as well. So it just kind of, they were various stupid versions of that. But then after a while, I started calling them kind of a bit more sensible names. So this is good. It's going to be The Source Part 4. I'm going to put that up on Mixcloud in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry it took me so long to get back to you and make it happen. But yeah, here we are. I'm glad we made it happen.
It was awesome. Peace.
Okay, peace.
Just give me 30 seconds of your time. Firstly, a huge thank you for checking out the show. This started off as an idea in my mind, and to see the growth and the support from the beat digging community from around the world has been fantastic. Secondly, if you support what we do here, take a moment and join the 19% of listeners and subscribe on this app. It makes a huge difference. And my promise to you is to grow this show to make it even more of what you love. More guests, more interesting conversation, more beat digging knowledge. We appreciate your support. Peace.